Are you ready to buy some land in the middle of nowhere and build a cabin? Good morning. Welcome to Life on the Moose. Welcome back if you've been here before. If you're brand new, nice to meet you. Don't leave me hanging. My name is Patrick, by the way, if I haven't made that perfectly clear in other videos. I'm glad you're here. This is the Spur Cabin. So we got those walls framed in last episode. So this episode, what I think I'm going to do, well here, let me show you. As I mentioned in the last video, we're going to have the loft in this half of the cabin, the back half of the cabin. So we have 2x8s, 12 feet long, that we're going to put across, hanging on those joists right there. So one reason for putting those loft joists up right now is it'll make it a little bit easier to do that gable end. All right, well, let's start trimming those 2x8s. They're going to have to be cut exactly 12 feet in length to go from outside to outside. All right, let's get to work. So here's my stack of 2x8s. The lumber fairy was nice enough to drop this off last night. It's got to make sure that the crown is all on one side, which would be up, and we'll get these things hung. So this isn't engineered. I just know 2x8 is going to be enough based on the joist span tables that I've seen. So 2x8 will work just fine. Okay, quiz time. What's wrong with this section of wall? I was just laying out where my 2x8 joists are going to go for the loft, and I noticed a mistake I made over here. Do you see it? Maybe look at this section right here. Maybe look at the gap down there compared to the gap up here. This stud right here. It's crooked. It's not plumb. And why is that, you say? See these little marks? Draw a line, that's the edge of the stud. X is the side of the line it goes on. This particular stud, I put it on the wrong side of the line. Look at that. Glad I caught it now. So I just need to cut those nails and coax that stud over there 1.5 inches, and I'll be ready to go. So the moral of that story is mind your marks. Okay, I'm just getting ready to put these joists up for the loft. The first one is going to go against this outside wall, so between this stud and the one over there. And then I'm going to go on the inside every 16 inches until I get halfway. And then I'm going to put 2 joists at the rim. All right, let's get them hung. Okay, I'm just going to assume that my top plate is perfectly level all the way around, because it is. It's close, and that's good enough for a cabin in the middle of nowhere. Perfect, perfect. we have loft floor joists in. Look at that. So we have a double in the end, 2x8s all the way to the top plate, and one nailed against the outside wall. I found a piece of plywood and nailed that up there temporarily so it wouldn't slide around. So hopefully we can set those gable ends up tomorrow and maybe even get that ridge board up. That would be nice. All right, they call for a chance of rain later tonight. So I'm gonna clean this mess up and put a tarp down. You never know. Okay, here's some thunder rolling in the distance. Not sure if it's gonna amount to anything or not. Have it covered up. OSB is protected. More importantly, the insulation underneath is protected. But I'm not concerned about it. When I was building the ridge cabin, it rained a couple times. Similar situation, and everything was fine. Speaking of OSB, one of the popular comments on the whole subfloor video was the OSB is going to fall apart and you're an idiot for doing it. I'm saying it nicely. I wanted to explain why I did that. The last thing in the world I want to do is steer someone in the wrong direction. So build according to your climate. That's like the number one thing. If you're in Arizona, you're not going to build an igloo, right? Think about that before you build, no matter where you are. Just because you saw me do it or someone else do it, make sure it's okay for your area. So OSB in this climate, as long as it isn't in direct rain for a long time, holds up just fine. In fact, it's on the roof of the cabin on Red Moose Ranch. I used OSB for the entire roof structure. 7/16, 24-inch centers on the rafters. It's held up perfectly. But hey, let me show you. There's no sense in you taking my word for it. Let me show you this OSB. That OSB, like I mentioned, is exactly what I'm using in the mountain cabin, in the Spur Cabin right now. So this OSB has been here for 18 years. It has never had any sealant, any paint, any oil whatsoever. It is like the day I put it up. Now, let's get a real close look at it here. Solid as a rock, nothing flaking, nothing's delaminating, nothing's rotting, nothing's swelling. One reason why some people thought I was going to have an issue with this OSB is because of having air trapped underneath. And it's not the case. I'm going to leave this open just like I left my last 2 cabins open that I built. Leave them completely open underneath. And as you can see, it goes all the way through. You got really good airflow coming from every direction. So I think that's another reason why I'm not concerned about any moisture buildup underneath whatsoever. I'm just not concerned about it. The other issue, a lot of people commented on mice. I honestly think that's another reason why I'm not having an issue with mice. It's all open under there. It's completely open on the ground. A lot of predators here from the air and on the ground, and I don't think they like to venture where it's wide open. Now, if I would seal it up and install skirting and give them a nice little protected home under there to work, that might be different. But I think that's one reason, knock on wood, that so far, so good when it comes to rodents. Okay, now I'm going to attempt to get that ridge board up. 16-foot ridge board. It's a 2x12. Well, it's right there in the corner. 2x12 is going to span the whole length, so 16 feet long. So I'm going to temporarily scab a 2x6 on each end, then screw the 2x12 in from the 2x6 that are holding it up. Here, let me show you what I'm doing. I think I mentioned this roof is going to have a 12-12 pitch. This thing is 12 feet wide, the entire building. So 12-12 pitch. So that means it's going to go over 6 feet to the middle, up 6 feet to the point. 6, 6, and that over there is about 8.5 feet, that length, but that doesn't really matter right now. But I got to measure for the thickness of the actual rafter, which is for a 45-degree rafter, that's a 2x8, 6 7/8 inches high from the bird's mouth point. I know it's technical. So here's the 2x6 I'm going to scab. So this is going to be the top of it. This gap is 11 1/8 inches, which is exactly the dimension of the 2x12. 2x12 is going to sit on there, and I'll screw it in from this side and sandwich that 2x12 the long way. 6 feet 6 7/8 inches. So this is the top of my plate. So I marked it. So I'll hold this up there, screw this into my wall, and then I'll have one done. You know what? I just thought of something. Instead of me holding this up there and try to balance it, I'm gonna put a board across here so that way it'll sit right on top of the top plate and I won't have to hold it. Got my cleat attached. Cleat? I think that's the right word. Does that look right? I hope so. So this is all going to be temporary. Once I get the rafters on and get my gable end framed up, then I'll take these off. That thing's up there. Wow. Why did I build this so high? All right. Have that little piece of plywood right there. I'm going to take that down and I'm going to put 3 or 4 2x6s across there so I can make a little catwalk so I can get to the end out to there, because I might temporarily put a post right there on this last double as well. I'm not sure, it just depends how this thing goes up. It's all me, so we'll see how it works. Look at that. What a morning. I have my temporary catwalk installed. Bit of caution. See how those ends are sticking over? That's usually the killer. Usually that's the case where people get in trouble. They step on those when the other end is unsecured. So I did secure that other end. I actually put a screw, big screw, every one of them on that side. So that's not going anywhere. Nice and stable. Yeah, but don't leave those ends unattended. And I'm still not walking on them. So don't be fooled. Battery? I'll get it. Now I have to cut this at exactly 16 feet, which is our total length outside to outside of the building. And I gotta make sure it's square. So I'm gonna square up one end and then cut it the length. 16 1-inch. Let's make sure this end is square first. Look at that, nice and square. Okay, it's a pretty thick line, so I just remeasured it and I need to take the line out, and that'll be 16 feet. I'm just gonna take my hammer. There we go. Now all I have to do is get that 2x12 way up there all by myself. Piece of cake, right? Well, no, not really. I need to go get another ladder. The ladder I have, the one leaning up there, is a 16-foot ladder, so they say. And that's another rung away from getting maxed out. So I'm gonna get, I believe is what is a 20-foot, I forget what it is, but it's tall. It'll be plenty tall. That way I can fuss with this end on a bigger, taller ladder, and we should be good to go. So I'm gonna run back to Red Moose Ranch. I got one hanging on the barn, so I'm gonna go get that extension ladder, and we'll get that ridge board hung up there one way or another. I don't quite know. Crown's on this side. So now I'm gonna mark this off down here, 24-inch centers. Any ideas on how I can get that up there? All right, I'm gonna take this little scrap and I'm gonna put this up on that cross member on this side so that I can sandwich that 2x12 in between here and in between that upper. So what I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hoist the 2x12 up over this wall, set the other end down in the loft. Then I should be able to take this end, lift it up, and set it in the saddle right here. And then I'll go up on the loft and I should be able to pull it into position. It's always safety first here on Life on the Moose. So what I did with this ladder in the bottom is I dug about 4-inch holes. So that thing's nice and secure, won't kick out. So I feel pretty good about that. I feel real good about that. Oh, no thanks, I got it. Okay, that's going to be such a steep angle from the loft to this end right here. So I think I'm gonna throw that little sawhorse up on top just to raise that end up about halfway. Let's see what happens. All right, my objective right now is to get this end in that saddle with the crown up. Don't move. Nobody breathe. Board is up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set, I believe, 2 rafters. So I have this 10-footer, 2x8. I cut the far end 45 degrees. That's a simple one. That's the beauty of a 12-12 pitch. And I did the math to lay out this rafter. I don't know if it's right or not. Seriously, I don't know. So what I understand is the depth of the bird's mouth, which this is called, which notches out for the top plate, the depth of this in the board can only be 1/3 the dimension. So that's 2 3/8 right there. And I think this is what I need to cut out, but I'm gonna set it up there and kind of dry fit it. See what it looks like. I don't trust my math with these things. I don't lay these out every day or every week or every month. About once a year? Not even. All right, let's get to work. you are. I thought I hit record. I didn't hit record. I got a couple of those rafters up. I ended up having to re-notch the bottom of it because I almost forgot to make room for my 1/2-inch sheathing on the outside. So those are up. In fact, you can probably see that gap there on the outside. That's making room for sheathing. All right, so I'm gonna nail these down and call this a night. Look at that, that's progress. I don't think I'm gonna get much more done than this because I gotta take off tomorrow and I'm not gonna be back for a while. I'll finish cleaning up here in the morning, maybe throw a tarp over this thing and we'll go. Well, are you ready to buy some land in the middle of nowhere and build a cabin? I thought so. Progress. Very slow. I gotta be very careful when I'm by myself up on a ladder. I don't want to fall and hurt myself. Who wants to do that, right? So I gotta be meticulous with my movements and slow with my movements. Make sure I don't do anything stupid. And like I said before, I don't frame these roofs every day. The last time, in fact, I framed a roof like this, has probably been over 10 years ago. The last few have been the shed style roofs. But this is fun. This is fun. Brings back some memories and it reminds me of how detailed it is. We didn't exactly get the gable end walls up. That's okay, I'm happy. I gotta get out of here. For those of you who don't know, I don't live here. I want to, which is part of the reason for all of this. I got about a 6-hour drive to get to my full-time residence. I gotta head back tomorrow. So this is a wrap for this one. I appreciate you guys riding along. It means a lot to me, it really does. All your likes and subscribes and comments, I dig it. I dig it all, I really do. Okay, next time, we're gonna get these rafters up. We gotta get a roof on this thing. Gotta get that buttoned up. It is last week in August right now. Before you know it, up in the mountains, there's gonna be snow flying. That's it, beautiful night. Hope you've enjoyed it, I have. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. We'll see you soon.